This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And the Corning plant
All right. Welcome to the show. This is, Bob. Okay. Welcome to the show. Sorry, we're live, Bob. So I heard you in the background. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Kentucky's Voice. Sorry, a little rough start there. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush, and we have a special guest today. You might know him. He is a well-known local conservative celebrity. His name is Bob Scott, and he is on the line with me right now. And Bob, can we hear you? There we go. Can we see you? There we go. Hello, Bob. Say something, Bob. Talk. You can't.
Oh, hey, yeah, I can hear you now. I wasn't hearing a thing.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Good to be here today.
Okay, there we go. So, Bob, you and I are going to cover the news today. We're going to go through various stories. You know, it's August, and you would think things would slow down, right? Because, you know, it's summertime, vacations, and, you know, Trump's been in office for a while. Things are, you know, maybe there's just going to, you know, take a break. You know, Congress is out on recess. No, there's a lot going on. There's too much. There's so much going on. We've just got to it's going to be a rapid fire run through of various stories today. And so the first thing we're going to start off today, let me just tease what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Cincinatti, what's going on there with, of course, the police chief and all the drama there. We've got, there's a big Palestinian protest that happened there where the Covington Police came in and basically shut them down and showed them how Kentucky red state deals with Palestinian protesters. It was awesome. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about an Oldham County controversy. There's in the school system, they're having controversy about religious, basically religion in schools and how that's playing out, and also a lot of economic news. Maybe even Thomas Massie. We never really covered Thomas Massie enough about, you know, why, you know, the whole, should we vote for Thomas Massie or not? So we're going to get into that today. But let's go. First story, we want to talk about some economic news that's very cool. Thanks to the Trump tariffs, thanks to the new golden age of America here, we have a manufacturing plant moving to Kentucky. And it is going to be making iPhone glass. You know, the glass that you see on your own. So I've got my iPhone here. The glass that you see on your iPhone is going to be made in America and made in Kentucky, in Harrodsburg. And so, Bob, do we have a story on this? I think we have a story we can play, right? Or is it just?
Yeah, we absolutely do.
Yeah, let's play
a story that we'd like to share with everybody. And I'm excited about this. I mean, $100 billion investment total so far is what Apple has pledged to do in the United States. But guess what? Kentucky's going to get at least $2.5 billion of that. That's unbelievable.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
That's just absolutely unbelievable. Make no bones about it. I know that some on the left and those with Trump derangement syndrome want to argue that he had nothing to do with it, but he had absolutely everything. And I'll say it again, Trump had everything to do with it. And you were talking about his tariffs and you know what that has caused. So this is the golden age that we now find ourselves in. And I'm just excited, you know, what this is going to mean to our state. The local economies obviously going to be impacted in a very positive way. Lots of new jobs are going to be created. And in fact, if we have that video, Daniel, if you'd like to share that, that would be outstanding.
Outstanding. Nope. Oh, is that not the right video? Okay, well, let's go ahead and play it. If it's not the right video, we'll... Okay, forget it. Well, let's go on to...
Well, we'll play it. We'll play it here in a minute,
later. Yeah. Well, let me say this, Bob. You know, one of the people that are one person that's going to take credit for this, and he shouldn't, is Andy Beshear.
Yeah.
Andy Beshear takes credit for everything positive economically that happens in the state, when in fact he votes for every policy. He votes against every policy that would have brought these factories and brought this economic expansion into Kentucky. And so, but he'll show up at the ribbon cutting. Hey, I'm Andy. Here's my big scissors. You know, look what I did. No, you didn't do a thing. It's the Republican legislature and the Republican Senate in this state who push pro-business, pro-growth policies that you vetoed constantly, Mr. Beshear.
Yes.
And
if you'll notice the big announcement at the White House yesterday. I don't believe Governor Beshear's name was even mentioned. And again, and rightly so. This was something that Trump and his administration had negotiated. And just so I'm not sounding partisan political here, it was the Apple CEO himself that said it's because of what President Trump has done to with the tariffs and to make all of these things happen. It's solely the actions of the current administration and the President of the United States.
That's it. That's exactly right. So Kentucky, we have a lot to be thankful for. It really, at the end of the day, America is setting itself up to be the manufacturing hub of the world, right? And it's not because of just the tariffs, right? The tariffs are important, because for far too long, American workers have had to compete with low-skilled labor around the world, and not just low-skilled labor. Policies by these countries that would purposely undercut our manufacturing base. And we put up with it. We tolerated it for 50 some years mainly because of the Cold War, right? Because we wanted a lot of these guys to be on our side against the Soviets, right? So it's okay. We'll give you real favorable trade deals. You can tariff us all you want, and we won't tariff you because we want to keep your economy going. So you won't turn commie. So you won't turn red on us, right? So and so that worked. But hey, the Cold War ended 30 years ago, right? So those policies gone. Okay, so Trump is coming in and he's doing a reckoning. He's doing an old school Western reckoning. So it is time to set things right. You're not going to screw us anymore. We're going to have a fair trade deal, and so that's going away. And then the low skilled labor problem, that's kind of going away too, because guess what's happening? China, they're not having babies anymore. Southeast Asia, they're not having as many babies anymore. And maybe India is, but the rest of the world, they're having less and less children, right? So now what's more important is automation and energy costs and AI. Well, guess where in the world we're the most efficient at creating energy? Where in the world does that happen? Right here in the USA. And so it's actually cheaper to run factories in America than it is anywhere in the world, because we can just frack all this oil. And guess what the offshoot of fracking oil is? Free natural gas. So we have all this natural gas, so we can run all these power plants. And it's literally cheaper to make stuff in America now than it is overseas when it comes to energy consumption. So anyway, America, we're really going to be we're going to be the new China. All right, we're going to be making all the stuff, and now that's going to put a lot of strain on our folks too. We've got to build up a manufacturing population. We got to get people back into working. Got to get them out of the welfare system. Get them out of the jails. We got to get some people. And you know what? Immigration, we got to figure that out, because right now it's we got to figure out if there's enough people to really do this. And I'm anti-immigration as it gets, because we need to put a moratorium on it right now. But maybe 10, 20 years ago, we may say, okay, well, we've got enough factories now, and maybe we need some people who come in. We'll vet you properly, and you can come in and you can work as a factory worker, and that's fine. And we'll do whatever. I'm going off on a tangent here, but anyway, at the end of the day, this factory is a sign of things to come. We're going to have more and more factories, more and more manufacturing coming back to the U.S. and high-skilled manufacturing jobs, not just, I'm turning a widget, I'm cranking. No, the manufacturing today is, if you're in there on the floor, you're basically running systems. You're running machines. You've got to be trained on how to do this stuff. These are high-skilled jobs. So it's
and if you've never been in a modern manufacturing facility, it's nothing about it's old school.
That's right.
It's very specialized, as you were saying, and advanced. So again, these are going to be high-paying, highly skilled type of jobs that are being created for our state, and it's just going to be an absolute boon to Kentucky.
That's right. It's a beautiful thing. And then, of course, Blue Oval, we all know the story down there in E-Town. Ford put that building in, and there was some concern that they wouldn't be able to fill up both buildings, but it looks like Nissan's coming in, and they're gonna help take some of that space. And so I still see a lot of growth there happening in E-Town, and we're excited about that. They have, of course, a new steel plant there, and just up the river there, and north of Radcliffe. So anyway, it's just good things happening in Kentucky, and Trump's tariffs changed the game, and you can see CEO after CEO that shows up in the Oval Office signing deals saying we're now going to pump in X trillions of dollars into America because this is the hottest country there is. It really is. And plus your tariffs are making it more favorable for us to do this now. And so it's just an amazing, amazing thing. So anyway, so economics are awesome. Okay. We got about 2 minutes left in the segment. I can shift gears real quick and talk about, or tease a topic that we can talk about more in the next segment. But there's this attorney general named Pam Bondi, who is our attorney general. And so she is following a Trump mandate of going out and telling sanctuary cities that you need to just get in line and stop being sanctuary cities, all right? And it's basically saying we are going to penalize you and take federal funding away from you if you continue these policies. And so they basically made a list of cities in the U.S. that are sanctuary cities. And guess who was on that list? Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky was on that list. And so the word went out. And of course, Mr. Greenberg, Democrat, on the left, he read the list and goes, we're about to lose trillions of dollars. Maybe we shouldn't, do this stuff anymore. And so it's really interesting. We're gonna unpack this more in the next segment. But there we go. So Louisville is now taken off the sanctuary city list because of actions by our mayor. Good job, Mayor. Hats off to you, Mr. Greenberg. I think he's though he's a Democrat, he has some common sense about some things, and he realizes, well, we're about to lose a lot of money here. Let's not do this. So it's there we go. So Louisville's no longer a sanctuary city according to the Trump administration. Now there's still policies here that are favorable, but we'll see. We'll be right back. We're going to unpack that more. Is Louisville a sanctuary city or not? According to the Trump administration, it is not. So we'll be right back with Bob Scott. He's one of these people that love Kentucky, love America, and loves you as an audience, and he's got a big heart and he's smart. So, all right, and we're talking about Louisville no longer being a sanctuary city, and so that's according to the Trump administration. Pam Bondi, she threatened the city and said, "Listen, you're going to lose billions of federal funding, and if you don't abide by our wishes here." And so, of course, our city said, well, we're about to lose a lot of money. Maybe we shouldn't do that. So Mayor Greenberg just did the right thing and dropped some of these policies. But before we get into that video, we're going to play a story about that. Before we get into that, I want to remind you, we have a text line where you can text us right now if you have any thoughts about the previous segment, the Apple, the glass being manufactured in Kentucky, a big new announcement here of factories moving into Harrodsburg. And, of course, we're talking about sanctuary city. So text us at 502-571-0970, and we appreciate any thoughts you have today on that. So, Bob, I'm going to play this DRB special. This is news today. We're officially taking off the sanctuary policy list. Here we go.
From the Justice Department's list of sanctuary cities. The DOJ published its updated list today of cities that prevent enforcement of federal immigration laws. Last month, Mayor Greenberg agreed to make that change following a letter from the Justice Department threatening legal action for violating federal law. This means Louisville's jail will now have to give federal immigration officials 48 hours notice before releasing inmates who are living in the country illegally.
I believe we will best protect our law-abiding immigrant community and our entire city by focusing the Trump administration's immigration enforcement actions on the few inmates in our jail who have been arrested for committing crimes and are subject to deportation.
The Justice Department has filed several lawsuits against other sanctuary cities who it says are in violation of federal law.
There we go. So we are now taking off this list. So, Mr. Mayor, smart move. And really all they're asking is for, if you do lock up somebody and they're illegal, just to let ICE know that, hey, we've got an illegal in jail. And then, of course, ICE is going to come and they're going to deport them like they should, because they shouldn't be here. And Bob, the thing that really irked me about what he just said there, he said, I want our law-abiding, illegal or law-abiding immigrant community to know that we're just going to be enforcing, deportation orders for criminals that are locked out. First, you're breaking a law by being here. Right? You're not law-abiding for one. I mean, if you're law-abiding, you should be out of here. So it's just irritating, the whole leftist, approach to this stuff. But anyway, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I don't know. I've been more encouraged with the current mayor than the last two mayors that Louisville's had. At least he is expressing a willingness to try to do something about the problem, the crime problem in Louisville. And I'm not so sure that he was referring to legal immigrants. In other words, folks that have come in through the front door, done it the right way. I think that was definitely because, again, he still has his constituency that he has to serve. But I think he was deflecting a little bit by saying, the folks we're going to get out of here is the truly criminal element. And of course, if you're an illegal immigrant, you are a criminal because you're violating federal law.
That's right.
So I think he's candidly walking a little bit of a tightrope right now. But at least it is encouraging to see the city of Louisville back away from being a sanctuary city so that they do comply. Again, let me remind everybody, that's a federal law. As far as the whole idea of sanctuary city being not a part of that, and that it is any city's responsibility to enforce federal law. And part of enforcing federal law is keeping illegal immigrants from coming into your city, your state, your country.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So, and I agree with you. I think Mayor Greenberg, he's a businessman originally. He launched some hotels here in Louisville, and so being in business, you learn a certain sense of pragmatism. You just what works, and how to kind of read the room a bit because you need to, or else you lose money. So it's kind of it's a good training ground to be an executive of a city, and so maybe his business pragmatism is coming out. It's kind of black and white. I'm going to lose several $1 billion here from the federal government if we don't do this, guys. And what are they asking us to do? Just call ICE if somebody's in the jail and they're already a criminal? Well, I guess, are we getting in that bigger trouble for that? I mean, no. We're going to, so come on. Common sense here. It's just common sense. And so, but there's still, kind of a left-wing instinct for this, to allow and tolerate just overall illegal immigration and to create an environment of support around that. So I haven't seen that sort of repudiation of, this is no longer a city friendly to illegal immigrants stealing your jobs. That's, because let me remind Mayor Greenberg, you are our mayor. You're the mayor of American citizens who voted for you. You're not the mayor of the illegal immigrant that can't vote for you, right? So remember who you represent, right? Remember that we as American citizens and citizens of Louisville, Kentucky, who voted for you, you represent us, our interest, and it's not in our interest to have a third world population flood the city that are not legal, all right, and then take our jobs, change our culture, disrupt our neighborhoods, use our infrastructure, use our schools, use our hospitals. It's not in our interest. We don't want that. So why?
And
please,
Tom, who
please
has
listen
to
to
absorb that when it happens? It is you, it's me, it's everybody listening to the show.
That's right.
That is a tax-paying citizen. We're the ones that absorb those costs.
That's right.
Whether you like it or not. And that's why I'm hoping that at least some Democrats are not just looking at the polls, because the polls clearly support what President Trump's doing. That's one of the main reasons. Immigration was probably reason number one on most people's books as to why he got elected. But hopefully it's just common sense. No nation, we were the only nation in the world that was opening up our front and back doors and saying, come on in. You can just come in and do whatever you want. We'll give you all the resources you need. We'll put you up in the finest hotels in the land and give you credit cards and money and make this as pleasant as we possibly can. Now, I will say, I think one of the main reasons, it wasn't out of the goodness of their hearts.
Yeah.
The radical Democrats were doing this.
Yeah.
It was because I do believe that they were trying to gerrymander, which they're throwing a fit now about what Texas is doing right now and fleeing out of state to gerrymandering states like Illinois and Maryland and places where gerrymandering was invented.
That's right.
And thinking that that's something that's okay because it's not.
That's right.
And now people are just trying to bring a balance and get things back to what America once was. And by the way, this isn't something new. President Barack Obama at one point was known as the deporter in chief. And I think during his presidency, he deported something like 5 million people.
That's right.
So this isn't something new. It's not a new concept.
Exactly.
It's equilibrium. And as you said, Tom, so perfectly,
that's right.
This is about protecting the United States of America and the working citizen.
Yeah, exactly right. People that actually live here and created the country and built the country. And to your point, you made a great point there. We end up paying. It's the average person, the middle class person, the working class person. We pay the price of all these boutique values of the left, of these elitist values. They can feel virtuous that, oh, I'm so noble and I'm so nice, but you all go pay the price for this. And so it's really just sickening, and it's just a power grab. But anyway, good job, Mayor, and let's keep moving that direction. And so Louisville's no longer a sanctuary city. So but let's talk about Cincinnati. We've got some stuff going on in Cincinnati you should hear about. So we'll be right back on Kentucky's Voice.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. And we are talking just various topics today. We're talking about the announcement of the iPhone glass manufacturing coming to Kentucky, which is exciting. We're also talking how Louisville's no longer a sanctuary city, according to the Trump administration. And so we've made some moves there. And we're also talking about how cool Bob Scott is, because Bob Scott's on the show today, and he's really cool. And so we're just
I don't know how cool I am, Tom, but I'm very happy to be with you, my friend.
There we go. I'm glad you're here today as well. So we want to talk about our text to give line too. So if you watch this program every day, or if you listen to the show on the radio, know that we're doing this as an effort. It's really a nonprofit news organization we're trying to create here in the state, and we've made some real headway. We're doing some great work. Last week we actually covered Fancy Farm. If you watched the program on Saturday, we did a 2-hour special of Fancy Farm coverage, and so we're trying to do our best to change the narrative in the state, because right now all the news media in the state is generally run by corporatist and kind of left of leaning organizations. So, on the national level, you have things like Fox News, you've got things like Daily Wire or whatever, the Blaze, whatever. You got a lot of national coverage that's conservative that you can go, but from a state perspective, you really don't. And really what happens in your state and local level is more important to your everyday life than what happens in D.C. And so, but no one's telling you the story about what's happening. So we're stepping up and doing it, and we are literally stepping up. I mean, Bob and I have invested a lot of our own time and money and energies and everything into this, and so we're asking you to help support this. At this point, there's not I'm going to tell you the economics of television. There's just not enough of an audience yet, right, to support this just from advertising alone. That's just the way TV works. You have to get a certain amount of audience before you can generate. Now, eventually it will, because we're going to have a full local newscast. We're going to be competing with all the other news stations. And like DRB just got bought up by Gray this week. And so now just another, Gray, just another big national broadcasting corporation that's, beholden to shareholders, which are going to, DEI and all this stuff. Well, not us. We're
Which,
local.
interestingly enough, also owns Wave as well.
That's right.
In our marketplace. So you're going to have
right.
One entity, national entity, not local.
That's right.
That's going to own both
Yep, two TV stations,
or at least two
major
broadcast stations in our market.
That's right. And they'll probably have one newsroom with one editorial perspective, and it's going to be dictated by gray media, which is, who knows if they're left of center. Generally, they are. And so anyway, we're asking you to help us grow this, and we need some seed funding to help get there. And so if you want to text, get your phone out, text 53555. So 53555. And then type the word KY Voice. So KY Voice to, sorry if I'm dodging my head here. I'm looking around my camera to read this on the screen. KY Voice. And you type KY Voice to 53555. 53555. And that's the way you can text us. You can give and support that. I mean, $10, $5, whatever. Just $20, $100, $1,000, whatever you can afford. If you want to do this on a monthly basis, great. We would really appreciate that. If you give to political campaigns at all, if you ever wrote a check to Donald Trump, write us a check too. Give us 10% of that or something, because that money will go further in this effort to move the needle for conservative, MAGA, populist, traditional values in this state than some DC politician you're giving to, right? So just there we go. So just
I'm incredibly excited, Tom. I got to just pile on a little bit what you're saying, because this is an opportunity that rarely comes along, and we are seeing the audience really starting to build. We started this a little over a year ago. Is when we did our initial launch. I think it was around July 31st of 2024, and we've slowly been adding on and doing things like you're talking about the fancy farm coverage, which I'll brag on it. I think our team did a phenomenal job on that, and really. Considering, honestly, limited resources, was able to go down there and cover that beautifully. And you, Jim, and I were in the studio, giving our commentary. And it turned out really absolutely excellent. And these are things, and again, I just want to say that anybody that's listening or watching, we do need your support, with this. We do have a big vision. We're casting a big net with regard to everything that we're going to be trying to do with Kentucky's Voice. It's exciting, and you can get on the ground floor,
That's
of this.
exactly
So
right.
again, I'll say it one more time. Just text to Kentucky Voice at 53555. And it can be anything from $5 to $10, whatever you want to give. Would absolutely be appreciated. We love you. We believe in you. The conservative Christian in this state. We want to be that voice to represent you. So if you would, again, Kentucky Voice, 53555.
That's beautiful, but well said, Bob. So well said. Well, let's get into some news here. Yeah. Well, last thought on that. We're also looking for volunteer journalists, right? You ever wanted to be into journalism? You ever wanted to do a story or do a documentary or do an investigative piece on some aspect of local politics or state politics or any kind of politics? Call us. Go to our website, kyvoice.org. There's a form on there where you can apply and become a citizen journalist. We'll put you on the show. You can go out.
Absolutely.
We'll show you how to do this. We'll show you how to actually go out and do stories. We'll give you equipment to use. We'll train you. And so we're looking for some activists, right? People that are really concerned about specific issues that can help shine light on these things. And very often a newsroom may not set out to be left wing, but just the people in the newsroom are left wing, but they're trying to be middle of the road in their coverage. But subconsciously, the stories that they're attracted to are going to be stories that advance their worldview, right? So just the stories that they pick are going to show their bias. And so they're not covering stuff that we would cover, right? Because they don't care about these issues, And so but you do. And so you can make a difference. You can actually be part of this and do this. And we're looking for journalists. We're looking for video
And we
editors.
did get a text in, Tom.
Yeah.
I want to share
Yeah, go
this.
for it. Yeah, go for it.
In fact, the texter said, sorry, I missed your first segment, but I was wondering, did our illustrious governor have anything to say about the iPhone glass manufacturing company, that's now happening in Harrodsburg? I've been looking and I'm trying to find something, but I'm sure he has to say something. I mean, my goodness gracious, you're talking about a $2.5 billion That's unbelievable. I mean, that's a huge amount of money that's pouring into our state. So I got to believe, and for those of you who didn't hear the first segment, Tom basically said, I'm sure he'll take credit for it, you know, with regard to it. And you know, I want Kentucky to be successful. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat that's doing it. And if the governor can do anything to help expedite the success of Kentucky, then great. You know, sadly, my personal opinion, I think he's been more concerned about issues that really most Kentuckians could care less about.
Right.
And it really has not been tuned in with the heartbeat of Kentucky. But this is an issue that I welcome any help that he can give to make that expansion. And by the way, the plant in Harrodsburg has been around for 65 years. It's not a brand new plant. And they were making about, I think, between 40 and 50% of the optics or the glass coverings for the iPhone.
Didn't know this.
They've been doing that for about 10, 15 years. But now that's being doubled. Well, more than double. It's going to be 100%. So basically, every iPhone moving forward, and I'm not sure when that all is going to come to fruition, but every iPhone, Apple product that you purchase, the covering on it is going to be made in the good old USA, and even more importantly to us in Kentucky, made right here in Kentucky.
That's right. That's awesome.
How exciting is it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. We're gonna blend in a little bluegrass into that glass or something. But you know, to your point, you know the governor, he's sitting there and he's got these big scissors on the wall that he uses to do all the ribbon cutting. So he's going to pull them down. He's going to shine them up real good. I can't wait to cut the ribbon on this one. And so, you know, that's what he's doing. He just takes credit for everything that the legislature has made happen in the state, which is, you know, they've brought forth pro-business policies in the state, so people want to show up here and do business, and he would vote against them, and but he shouldn't get credit. Okay, we got about 3 minutes left in the segment. I'm going to go to Cincinnati real quick. We had some pretty interesting things happening there. Let me go to this video here. There is a protest that occurred. So the Palestinian. Well, all these radical left-wing, you know, folks want to team up with the Palestinian cause for some weird reason, and let me just go ahead and play this. Just switch to this, guys. I'm not going to play the audio, but I think they're cussing. But anyway, so this is the bridge going. This is the smaller bridge. I forgot what they call it, but it's the one that has that you can see through. It has that bridge system. It goes from Cincinnati over to Covington. I'm sure many of you have driven it before. And so these protesters were blocking the bridge. They were blocking it, right? And so, waving the Palestinian flag in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, so this car goes, I'm not going to, you're not blocking me. So they just drove on through, right? So all these protesters follow the car all the way over to the Covington side. And the Covington Police, red county, red Kentucky, it's like, we're not putting up with this garbage. You know, you can protest over there in your wacky-danky, you know, Cincinnati left-wing city. This is Covington. This is Kentucky. You don't come over here and do that stuff. And so they brought out the paintball guns, the riot shotguns, and the handcuffs, and started going to town on all these guys. And it was beautiful to see. It was just beautiful to see. So hats off to Covington Police. This is how you handle radical left-wing protesters who want to shut down your cities, shut down your streets. You just lock them up and treat them how they want to be treated. And every one of these are just like these nice little liberal, left-wing, middle-class people that are, you know, you wouldn't last a second in Gaza, right? They would have no respect for you. A lot of these people are LGBT, you know, out there just waving their LGBT flag next to the Palestinian flag. You know how long you would last in Gaza? You know, Hamas sees that rainbow flag. You know how long you'd be. I mean, just the idiocy. And Bob, it's just we got about a minute left, but just the idea of just
realize though
the Muslim
Kentucky basically owns or has oversight over the Ohio River all the way to the shore of Ohio.
Good deal.
So that bridge, obviously, where they were making these arrests and doing these things, all the way up to you get to cross into Ohio. Is within the territory of Kentucky. So
that's right.
It is refreshing to see the police not putting up with it anymore.
Exactly right. So good stuff. Great job, Covington Police. We'll talk about Cincinnati Police here in a minute in the next segment. With that issue with the folks getting beat up downtown at the Jazz Festival. So, but you're listening to Kentucky's Voice, and we have Bob Scott on today, the one and only, the man with smarts and hearts, Bob Scott. You're listening to Kentucky's Voice.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We have this very special show today because we have Bob Scott on the show, and you may know Bob Scott. He's one of our regular hosts here, but it's special that we get to spend time together, Bob, because you're a cool guy. So
Tom, I absolutely love when we have these get-togethers, when it's you and me or Jim, and we have a way of pontificating and bringing out things. Not all of it's necessarily great, but I think a lot of it is, and it's just a lot of fun, to talk and really like we're sitting around a big table, kitchen table, if you will, and having a discussion, amongst friends, and that's one of the things that I think Kentucky's Voice is. It gives the ability, first and foremost, for conservatives to gather around a big kitchen table and really have that conversation that needs to happen that's so often stifled in the left-leaning, journalism, if you will. And this is an opportunity to get involved. And if you want to join the program, our phone number is, you still got time if you want to text a comment in. Our phone number is 502-571-0970. Again, that phone number is 502-571-0970. We would absolutely love to have you be a part of this conversation today.
Yeah, wow, what a great way to segue into that text line. That was awesome. That was really good. Okay, so exactly, text us 571-0970. And so now the last segment we talked about the Covington Police that cracked down on the Palestinian protesters on the bridge. And so now we want to juxtapose that to the Cincinnati Police, who basically dropped the ball and with this beatdown that occurred at the Cincinnati Jazz Festival. Now, this story's been in the news for a week or so you probably have heard about it. You maybe even seen the Cincinnati police chief basically blame social media for the problem. Didn't want to blame the fact that you didn't have any officers there, and didn't want to blame the perpetrators. She wanted to blame social media for highlighting it. The media. You're the reason all this is an issue right now. Well, no, somebody just got mobbed, and beat up in a public event in your city, and you're blaming the media. It's just crazy. So I wanted yesterday, one of the victims was a lady that was basically just what's the
pummeled.
Pummeled, yeah. I'm trying to use, there's a term for just somebody just does a sneak punch, or basically was punched in the face and leveled and was basically bleeding out on the street. And luckily she survived, and so she spoke out for the first time yesterday. We want to play some of her thoughts here. So, Mr. Producer, will play this real quick. And I guess I got to turn it up, don't I? Nope. Got it. Do we have audio? Okay, it's not. Okay, for some reason it's not playing. Okay, well, she is basically saying that I thought I was going to die, and so I thought I was dead. My doctor said we were surprised that you actually survived this. And so, there we go. So it's, if you're watching on television, you can see her face. It's pretty bruised, pretty tore up. I would show you some of the beatdown footage, but it's just really depressing.
And Tom, here's the deal. She was a mom of 3 kids, that was out just trying to enjoy a summer evening, in Cincinnati, at a jazz festival, and suddenly chaos erupted, and a lot of things were being thrown about, and but you cannot justify on any planet what happened there, and the brutality where the swarming did happen and the beatdown did happen. And she, of course, in that video looks a lot better. She's healed miraculously from where she was at, but she still looks rough.
Yeah.
But when she first got attacked, she had been put through the ringer. Now she's dealing with a lot of PTSD as a result of that attack, and she said that it's going to take a while, for her to walk through that. Of course, she rightfully has lawyered up, and I think Cincinnati is going to find itself in a boat that it doesn't want to find itself with regard to, at the end of the day, a settlement, I think, will be coming her way. And the bottom line is, why was there not enough with the problems? Really, any big city, you can make that argument, any big city that's especially run by Democrats.
Right.
We see it here in Louisville, sadly.
That's right.
Situations like this that'll spring out, and this needs to come to an end, folks. We're better than this as a nation and as a people. This has got to come to an end. And again, if you have any thoughts about this, we'd love to hear from you. We also, you see a donation screen that's just come up. If you'd like to give to Kentucky's Voice, we're here being your voice in this area. We have plans. Tom and I have been talking about it. We want to take this statewide. That's will be our next phase in this process. But if you'd like to give and support Kentucky's Voice, you can do so by texting at KY Voice 53555. Again, KY Voice 53555. We'd like to have you be a part of the team.
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that, Bob. And you're right. It basically is a Democrat-run city problem. And so the question that the average person needs to ask themselves, if I live in a Democrat-run city who's easy on crime, should I be going downtown for events like this? If they're not going to police it properly or enforce this sort of stuff properly, is it creating a precedent in the criminal element of the city to think that they have a free hand, that they run the streets, and so I think that's a real concern, and that's why you saw what you saw after the 2020 riots here in Louisville, the Breonna Taylor riots. Downtown pretty much emptied out. I mean, you've got about half of the office space empty right now in downtown Louisville. If you don't drive down, just drive around downtown Louisville. Look at all the for lease signs. I just did it last weekend. It's like, goodness, every other building, for lease, for lease. Why is that? When we had in the 90s and the 2000s, we had this urban revival, this renewal of our cities from all over the country, and then in flip of a switch, all these left-wing woke policies just blew up our cities, and so we've got to reverse that. We're much better than that, Bob. Like you said, we're much better as a culture, and also there's a lot of criticism, and it's just a delicate subject. There's a lot of criticism of this sort of mobbing sort of mentality that can go on within crowds of African Americans. Yeah, I said it. I said it, and that's a little bit delicate, but that does happen.
I always hate to run in that direction.
I do
but
too.
It does happen. I mean, it's a statistical
but that's
thing
the
that
conversation.
You see.
That's right.
Fortunately, I have a ton of friends that are African Americans, and
so do I.
They abhor this as much as you and I do.
That's
right.
But that's the conversation.
It is something
right now, and it's delicate.
Sadly, I think it's just the way that a lot of people. It's not just African Americans, but usually in big city situations, that's what ends up happening. Yeah. Where you do get this mob mentality, and I think it starts at home.
That's right.
I'll say it. I think it's the way they're being raised a lot of times in fatherless homes.
That's it.
Without any direction. And consequently, they're learning all the bad things, in that situation. And I love Louisville. I came to this market probably going on 25 years ago, and just to see what's been happening as far as deterioration of our city is absolutely sad, and really it's disgusting, And I have some friends. Let me final point. I have some friends that are police officers that have basically either retired, and I'm talking about Louisville police officers, or moved on to other departments outside of the city because, and I suspect that's the same thing that's happening in Cincinnati is a lot of the really good cops are not being backed and going out to what they feel are more safer.
Yeah.
Because they got families too, and
That's
people
right.
to go home to as well. It's not just they're there to enforce and be an iron hand. They're not. They're normal people like you and me, black and white, and red and yellow, they're all working hard to protect our city. And if they don't feel like they're being backed, they're going to move and put themselves in a little bit more of a safer, better situation. And I've been told that.
Exactly right.
So it's not something I'm just pontificating on.
No, you see
making up. And I just had another text that came in, and they said, and don't forget, you have the councilwoman, and this is a good point. Thank you for texting this. You have that councilwoman in Cincinnati who said those people deserved the beatdown they got.
That's right.
I'd sure like that here, or I'd like to hear an explanation of why she said that.
Yeah, and why she still has her job. Is that's
correct?
That's just ridiculous. Yeah, and so well said, Bob. A lot of this is a cultural issue that all starts at home, and unfortunately, there's a lot of finger pointing at the African American community as a whole. And now, is that fair or not? But there seems to be a large segment of folks that in these situations are, there's something about the culture there that is encouraging this sort of behavior, and it needs to be talked about. Excuse me, it needs to be talked about.
Well, let me say this real quick. This will be my final comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know we're running out of time, but that's why Trump is looking at federalizing
D.C.
the government in Washington, D.C., because of the attacks that just happened there against a former DOJ employee. He got beat down because he was trying to defend somebody that apparently was being carjacked. And a lot of these people that are doing this, they're perpetuating this, or guess what? They're 15, 16, 17-year-olds.
Fatherless kids.
Getting a little slap on the hand and saying, it's okay, honey, just don't go do it again.
Right, exactly. And so I don't know. I think maybe we're at this point, Bob, where, we've had this woke moment of this, identitarian sort of, we look at everybody by race, and this whole Black Lives Matter thing. Maybe the reaction to that is, hey, maybe we can really honestly have an honest discussion about race. The left always talks about this, like, hey, you're just afraid to talk about race. Well, maybe now we are going to talk about race. So let's talk about it in a real way. Let's talk about culture. It's not race, it's culture, and it's how you raise your kids. And Black Americans didn't have these problems 60, 70 years ago, right? They had intact homes, and they're probably the most well-behaved segment of society when it comes to criminality, believe it or not. I mean, it was. So something's changed in the culture, and specifically in that area, and not to beat up on African Americans. I mean, I'm just saying, but the rest of the culture is like, come on, what's going on here? I can't go on a Carnival cruise because
we need to stop being at each other's throats and realize our DNA might slightly differ, or let me rephrase that: the pigmentation of our skin might slightly differ, but we all are people created in the image of God.
Exactly right.
And he loves
and we all have a heart of
sin
that needs to be dealt with.
No exception.
Yeah, they all have a heart of sin that needs to be dealt with. So anyway, love everybody, and I love watching the show, and thanks for watching. Bob, thanks for being on the show today. You're awesome. And we will see you tomorrow on Kentucky Voice.